I'm Amy, also known as Jane Itma.
And I'm Megan, also known as Just Run It. And this is episode 240, 272. Goodness, I just said it aloud and my numbers got mixed. 272.
Okay.
242 was decidedly like
A long time ago. Yeah, that'd be crazy. Um, this is the one where Amy is concentrating on a shadow that looks like
a sweater is stained in some way.
or
No.
wet or something, right? It's almost perfectly like a V. Anyway,
When you
it's
move
just
your
my
head, it
chin.
moves. It
Yeah,
moves.
it's just my chin. I don't know why the lighting is so awkward today. But
Yeah, we are decidedly in spring here in Minnesota. We had
Mhm.
what was pretty close to thunder snow this weekend, which was pretty
Right.
exciting, right? There was like, it was like, even, I mean, when it registers with my almost 16-year-old, right? He's like, dude, mom, like when I went to my friend's house on Friday, it was like almost 80 degrees. And then when I came home today, it's like 20. And I was like, the weather has registered with the child. That means it must have been pretty extreme. Um, and then yeah, we're supposed to get like 6 to 8 inches of snow tomorrow.
Yeah, something.
Uh,
I've heard all the numbers, so I don't know.
the kids were the kids were like, we haven't had school on a Wednesday for
Oh, that's so
it's
true.
like, yeah. So S day again, potentially.
Okay, yeah, potentially.
Yeah. Laura up in Northfield says they have a blizzard warning for later today.
Oh, later today. So is our stuff gonna be overnight then? The Wednesday
I
snow?
don't know. I mostly just care because I've got my college age student coming home from for spring break. So hoping
Ah,
that the roads get cleared by the time she's in route, or it's not as bad as they say it's going to, or maybe it just like immediately melts. But you know, whatever. And then it needs to also be clear when I'm flying out
yeah, you have the
Saturday.
month of travel. Yeah.
I do. So yeah, headed to Portland next week. The following week, we're driving to St. Louis. So I get to be part of two spring breaks and work remotely half days. That works a little bit better on the West Coast than it does down in St. Louis. And then yeah, then I'm going to Las Vegas for Google Cloud Next. So yeah, I'm just going to be here, there, and everywhere. Amy is going to try to accommodate my schedule
Yes.
with her schedule, which is nice. And yeah, there will be days in all of those weeks that I will be here. So we're gonna try to podcast on those days. So yeah. And then after Las Vegas, potentially Chicago, but we that hasn't been nailed down. So yeah.
Wow.
Woo. Yeah. Whirlwind tour of yeah, not hitting the East Coast at all. But Central and West Coast for sure. Yeah. Anything you wanted to chat about as far as administrati?
No, we're in the midst of our KLs. So if you're joining us, let's see, we're doing some cables and eyelets or lace to get bonus points. And then just for
Beautiful
this
sweater
month,
you're wearing right there would
yeah,
qualify, yes.
yes, it has both. And then let's see, the uh, the month of March has just kind of a mascot. So if you're going to use horseshoes or clovers, and I made a tiny little clover, but then I cast on a colorwork sweater. I still don't know like what I'm thinking because it's already the 18th. But I thought it would fly by, and then I'm remembering that there are some issues with color work on a yoke, at least, especially with the way this person has you doing the increases. So I've already ripped back once. Yeah. So we'll see. But yeah, just chugging along on those wonderful KALs and yeah, trying not
Yeah,
to.
absolutely. Absolutely. And again, I know I mention it as a favorite thing, so this is tips and tricks, but I definitely feel like they help me like get out of my rut as somebody
Mhm.
who is constantly doing the same things. Like the other day, I was like, oh, I found some leftover self-straping, and I was like, oh, I should make a muscle bra. And I was like, Megan, stop. Um, so yeah, I feel like the KALs and the craft alongs really help me go like, oh no, I should do something different than like the
Mhm.
same thing over and over again. Which again, that if that's your happy space, absolutely, right? But then sometimes it's fun to figure out how those things that you go back to over and over again fit into said
Mhm.
craft along. So I feel like it helps me push the button, push the needle a little bit on my crafting, and get
Mhm.
me maybe just a little bit out of my comfort zone. Again, I'm not like scared or don't want a challenge, right? But mostly just kind of like the things that my happy place, I guess.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah, for sure.
absolutely.
Um, I mean, in uh, not a segue, but one of my favorite things lately is this bag that I purchased. It's a redesign bag from let's see, redesigned project.
Mm,
So this is a project 9. And it has my
wow.
aforementioned colorwork sweater in it. So it's got some straps over here that you could put some needles into. It's got a
Yeah.
zipped pocket in the center and then two little pockets over here.
Mm,
But it opens up into this kind of bucket.
mm.
And then I think that before they started making them for knitters or, like there's a few things in here I'm like, this has to be for knitters. Like they've changed it a little. But if you go out to their website, this is their what do you call those? The men's shaving kit case kind of thing. So
Top kit, but yeah.
yeah. So if toiletry bag, that's what it is. Okay, so like if you were going out there and you wanted the toiletry bag, I believe I honestly I don't remember, but this is from the EU somewhere. And then yeah, but I bought this one from Farmer's Daughters Fibers a month ago or so, and I've been using it ever since. So every time a project comes out, a new one comes in, and sometimes two projects. Like I can put socks here and a shawl here because it is generous. And yeah, really, really loving this bag. It's a new favorite thing.
Excellent. Yeah, I do
Yeah.
like I got one, a fabric one, not a really nice leather one like that. And I do like that they open and kind of stay flat. That's really, really nice, right? Like there's a whole like world inside of there.
Yeah, and it's not too bad to close because the hardware is nice, but you do have to kind of hold this tab
Mhm,
that's provided and then zip it around. So
mhm,
um what do I want to say? Like I don't use it as the thing that I like take to work or in my bag on the go, like traveling in the car or anything like that. But I definitely like it if I'm going on a trip and I want something that's kind of staying in the hotel or at my mother-in-law's or my mom's house, right? Um, so it travels well in that sense, but my day trips, I guess, is what I'm saying. I wouldn't necessarily pull this one for day trips. I think that's mainly because of the way that it opens up. I think
mhm.
I'm just looking for something that has a smaller footprint um, when I'm traveling for the car. I don't want this thing splayed out on my lap the whole trip,
Yep.
right? I want something that can kind of get tucked down into the cushions. But yeah, really enjoying this one. I
Yeah,
think, I
it
think,
feels like one that like you could if you had a cat, for example, that was really liked to get into your projects, right? Like sitting on the table beside you, you could open up, it'd be like a basket of all of your projects and things, and then
mhm,
okay, go into bed for the night, zip it up so
yeah.
that the cat doesn't get into it. Yeah.
Yeah, and then yeah, a little pricey. So I believe at the time that I purchased this one, it was $100. I did have a coupon or a store credit with them, so I bought it for $30, girl math or whatever. It's like, well,
Yeah.
these credits counted and like what hit my credit card was $30. So um I had I had to buy it, or I had to give it a try. Um
Yes. You
and
couldn't
love it.
afford not to.
Right. Right. No, I love it. And I, having had it for a month and reviewed it, I would have paid the $100 for it. It's a good purchase. So,
Excellent. Excellent. Well, my favorite thing, it's definitely, I'm definitely in my mohair era.
oh, I wanted
So,
to
oh, go ahead.
say one more thing. This is the number 9. They have
Number nine.
sizes. And
Okay.
so if you're like, "Oh, I really like that size." This one's a number 9.
Okay. Excellent.
Okay.
Sorry. Yeah, no. So I was just going to say I'm in my mohair era, as you saw last week. I was holding some green with a blue, and love how it turned out. So this is
Hmm.
all blocked up. This is not me showing the FO. This is me showing how much I love the combination of yarns. So I've been definitely been doing a ton of yarn experiments, which is
Hmm.
others may call swatching, but I have for some reason some visceral
Aversion.
reaction to being told
Yeah.
that I'm swatching. Also, like, to me, swatches stick around, and I've like been ripping them out, right, to
Hmm.
conserve the yarn because I needed, like, I was down to the very last drop of the blue yarn on this one. And so started another one. After all of that, talking to you about the Renaissance, I was like, nope, I want to make it's the one with lace and cables, which again is making me pushing me out of my comfort zone rather
Hmm.
than doing more and more color work. Low Tide by Rachel Ilsley, which is a gorgeous. She made it out of possum yarn.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
but I'm doing mine with fingering and not even mohair. It's yak merino silk that I got from Dark Lake Fiber Arts, and it makes me sad because she doesn't have it anymore. But it was the one that you chose to go with the blue
Mhm.
last time. And then I swatched with 3 different colors. So these are both from Fangirl, well, Keenan Lane Yarns, but when it was Fangirl Yarns previously at our market. And
You
then
said the S word.
I said the S word.
You had an aversion to swatch, but you just used the word. So I
Oh, sorry. I did a yarn experiment with these 3 colors with this held with it. Amy, do you have any guesses of what I went with?
oh. Mm,
So this is the Baba it's at Haynes House. It was head something, yeah,
yep.
ba head from our
Yeah.
goodie bag yarn. This one's called Velvet, and this is Forever Not Yours.
My heart says purple.
I did like that one, but
Oh,
I love the way that this kind of neutral brings out the pink spots
oh, okay.
in this in the ba head. And so you've got
I was
voila,
gonna say blue because of yeah. I
the other
just,
one. Yeah.
my heart was with
Yeah,
her.
okay. So you do you approve of this? Yeah, so
No, I
um
think it looks very pattern appropriate. Like, it looks just as
yes,
streamy
yes,
as the
she's kind of
pattern.
got like a whiter, yeah, like a lighter
Hmm.
and I agree. I think that the cables and the lace are jumping out a little bit more with
Yeah.
the lighter
Mhm.
colorway. But yeah, it's just
Beautiful choice.
so yeah, thank you. I put you on the spot and you're like, Megan, you didn't tell me you were gonna yeah uh quiz me on the podcast today. But yeah, I'm enjoying it and it's so light and fabulous. And so I of course immediately go out to, their Etsy shop and of course they don't have it.
Right.
But I think it's like the fuzziness is not quite mohair, but also like so light and yet warm and
Hmm.
substantial, right? If that makes any sense. So like I picked this up and I expect it to be 1 billion pounds, and it's like very, very light, right? So the merino yak silk is just a fabulous little joiner with the and I think this skein has potential. Well, I guess you're not going to see it as much, but has a little bit more pink in it.
Hmm.
So yeah, no, that would be my other tip and trick. I think this is the second of two colors that I got because she had it like on super sale, with that merino yak silk, and like I should have gotten more of it after the first one. It's stash FOMO.
Right.
Like,
You don't use it right away. And then once you use it, you're like, oh, I want more. And then like I think that that happened with the musk. Um, what was it? The I'm sorry. It was not cashmere. It was another animal that you comb to
mhm.
get the um but anyway, I had bought one and it was kind of luxury at the time. It was not cheap at $50 a skein, and I got
Oh
one
wow.
beautiful skein.
Mhm.
And then I loved it. Like I made a big, beautiful shawl out of holding it double and like a cowl type thing. And I was like, oh, I just really wish I had more of this. And then you go back to buy it, and it's no longer a base that anybody has. You can't
No.
find it anywhere.
Yes. So she had this nice, and again, I think this has a little bit of like pinky undertones to it, which is
Mhm.
why it's fun that it's pulling out the
Mink.
pink and the what?
It was mink. I was trying to
Yeah.
figure out like what was
Like
the
grinning
animal.
gargoyles mink or
Yeah.
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 Okay. That was a while ago, so good.
Yeah. No, a real long no, and it was been out of my stash a long time too, but
But
it
you
was
still
definitely one of
remember
those
it.
regrets, right?
You
Like the
still
moment
remember
I
it.
got
Yeah.
done with the object, I was like, oh no, I want
But yeah,
more.
I think this one was super cheap because it was undyed. So like that's just kind of
Mm.
the pinky undertones. And then the other one I made was like a pink color as well. And so yeah, yeah. What do you do? Only the regrets, the knitting regrets of I used
That
that base too long between when I bought it and when it was yeah.
Do you remember
Anyway.
the cashmere we bought from Yarnatius? Like
Hmm.
that could be a possible like, lightweight replacement for that.
Hmm. Hmm.
Was very, and it seemed to go on forever when I ended up using mine, right? Like
Yeah, I
they
haven't
were
used
very
mine
light.
yet, so maybe that can be my
Oh,
next held double obsession.
give it a
Um,
try. I didn't hold mine double. It was very fuzzy. Um, like it didn't feel like it needed to be held double, but
yeah. To tell you a little bit about my psyche, I guess this feels like I've been oversharing a lot here, but like I feel like some of these held double yarns have to live in my stash a little while I forget how much it is to combine two yarns, right? Like
mhm.
I'm basically paying two sweaters quantities to make this sweater, right? And so, yeah, I think that is why there's a delay on some of these like cool exotic bases is that I'm like, oh, I'm going to end up holding that with something. And if I immediately use it, I remember how much I paid for it. And maybe I enjoy it a little less based off of like, oh, this is a very expensive sweater I'm making right here, right? Versus like if my brain can forget how much I paid for the held
Right. But
double yarn. Yeah.
if you're buying a DK or worsted, at such
Hmm.
and such, you're getting a lot less yardage. So you think about that yardage spread across.
Yes.
I've done a lot of math on some of those double sweaters and been like, oh, it's not that bad. Just when you consider replacing a worsted or a DK in
This
in
from
the same
the
place.
my bag cost $30.
I know, whatever.
Yeah, no. Again, like I'm not, yeah, I shouldn't feel bad about yarn that I love and enjoy and want to make with, right? But I'm just saying, like, I think in the back of my mind, I enjoy this a lot more not remembering how much I paid for both of the component yarns,
Yes.
which may be why yeah, why some of these things sit in my stash for a while. It's kind of like the trip that you paid for and then you go on it and
Yeah.
you're like, I don't remember how much I paid for this trip, but I absolutely love it.
Yeah,
That
the
like Midwestern guilt, I don't know what that is, but
right. I did want to say that that along the same lines of your tip, right? You're holding it double, so you can try to get a held with yarn that is, let's say, not as expensive, right? The heritage sock base from Cascade is merino. There's loads of them at Knit Picks. I
yep.
think that that's another way to offset the cost of that fancier mohair that maybe you got hand dyed somewhere, or cashmere, whatever it is. There are ways. And again, it's not putting necessarily a quote a cheap yarn. It's just that it's commercially dyed. It's commercial, so there it's just costs less to make, than having somebody hand dye it. So yeah, you just kind of fold in some of those commercially dyed yarns, and then you can save a little bit of money.
Yeah, agreed. I do that. I did that a lot with like my muscle burrows as well, right? Like I had an expensive skein of self-striping, and then I would mix in like the Knit Picks, Felici or whatever, right? Like
Mhm.
I had yeah, I have some mixers on hand, as you were saying. So yeah, I again, tip or trick, if you've got a silly brain like mine, I generally don't feel guilt at all about my yarn. But I do feel like when I'm thinking about holding something double, I often think about like this was double the price for whatever reason. So yeah, no, that's a great tip as well. I think this may end up being my renaissance. I have to find the
Okay.
correct pop of color at the top. But much like you, I mean, all of these extremely warm, um,
Yep.
fuzzy sweaters that I'm making will soon be a thing of the past. But maybe I'm just a thing of the past to wear. But maybe I'm
Mhm.
just me and Mother Nature are playing chicken. Like, I cast on another really warm sweater. What are you gonna do about
Yep.
it?
I appreciate it if it can get us to spring faster. Um,
So
yeah,
yeah,
and
go ahead. Ooh,
I was
didn't see
just gonna
that.
hold up the like I like the color, but it's not popping as much as I would like with the
Yeah,
brown.
we were having this
Ooh.
conversation on ZKN the other night. Like, I really struggle, even with having done as many color work sweaters as I have. Like, the motifs, they're beautiful, right? And I understand why we do them, but like that start out with like really like one pop of the color every few stitches, right? That lonely stitch of the contrast color just it has a really hard time popping out, even if you aren't like, even if your gauge is like pristine, right? Because it's
Yeah,
just this
no,
one
that's why I
stitch.
had to rip out. Like I lost an entire row
Yeah.
because it was only that one pop, and
Yeah.
it was in the like because it starts with a line. So I have pop, pop, and a line. Well, the middle stitch of that line disappeared completely when I got to the next row because of the stretch that happened when the increases happened anyway. Pro tip, be very, very loose and generous with that color when you're having pips in it
Or you
because
can, yeah, I mean, you could take a look at whether or not you really even need those again, right? I
that's true.
think that they're beautiful, but like if they're going to get lost in the yoke anyway, like why, futz with them? I don't know. I haven't done it myself, but it was definitely something that we chatted about in our weekly chat session. It was just like, do you even do those? Like, if they're going to be a pain in the butt and like they're really not going to show all that well, do you even really do those? I mean, I understand that it starts the motif and whatever, but um, be curious if anybody out there has tried skipping those little blips at the beginning.
I am very like I don't want to start the sweater over again. So the pips there will stay, but there are two additional pip lines at the bottom of this that
Which
I might
again is
just
right where
get.
it's stretching for like your arm and whatever,
Yeah,
right? It's like,
I
oh
might
man,
just
they're
cut them off.
beautiful, but like, oh. Anyway,
Well, and there's a bigger distance between them at the bottom, so it's
yes,
like
yes, yeah,
like no.
yeah. Again, like when you're mitten, a hat, like they stay pretty, but like a yoke. Anyway. We have convinced ourselves to spend money on sweaters and to cheat code color work. A
Yep,
psychological study in knitters.
yep, yep. And we've yep. Somehow that store credit that we earned by spending significant amounts of money is free and it's fine.
We made that back $30.
Yeah, it certainly did.
All right. Thank you all for joining us.
Bye.
Bye, Ufta. I